Ciao a tutti, buon pomeriggio, hello, good afternoon. My name is Lisetta, or you can call me Lisa for short. Today we're going to be making a fettuccine Alfredo with mushrooms. It's creamy, delicious, and velvety. It's perfect for Valentine's Day. What more can say I love you than some nice creamy sauce on pasta? Very comforting and heartwarming, right? Okay, guys, so before we begin, I'm going to let you know that a quick detail about fettuccine Alfredo. Fettuccine Alfredo, if you go to Italy and you ask for it, fettuccine Alfredo, you're going to get fettuccine with butter, and that's because it originally became started with butter, okay? Later on, it got adapted in America with cream, and I'll get more into that later, all right? So in the meantime, you're going to want to have a nice big pot of water, and it should be well salted. You should always cook your pasta, doesn't matter what type of pasta, in a pot with lots of water and a good amount of salt, okay? If you don't have enough water in your pot, your pasta will not cook properly and it will stick and clump, okay? And you don't want that. The more water, the better. You can never have too much water in your pot, okay? And like I said, lots of salt, okay? So for the purpose of this lesson, I already have mine boiling so that I can control time here, okay? Otherwise, you would begin by filling your pot with the water, putting the salt in and turning it on high. And while you're waiting for it to boil, you're going to get your saucepan and we're going to start working that cream, okay? So you want to have a nice good saucepan, okay? 2 tablespoons of butter, unsalted butter, okay? And you're going to warm it on medium heat, okay? Like a medium high, all right? And we're going to wait for it to melt. Once it's melted, then we will add our sliced mushrooms. I am using cremini mushrooms. If you can't get cremini mushrooms, that's fine. You can use whatever you prefer because after all, you need to enjoy this dish, okay? So you can use oyster, you can use portobello, you can use regular white, you can use porcini, whatever rocks your world, okay guys? As for the butter, the reason why we're using unsalted butter is because mushrooms have a high water content, okay? Salt tends to draw out water. So we want the mushrooms to get some color. If we're using a butter with salt, the mushrooms are going to release that water content too soon before it gets a chance to brown. And all you're going to have is limp cooked mushrooms with no color or browning on it, okay? The same reason why you wouldn't add salt to this yet, okay? You don't want to add the salt till later because we want our mushrooms to get nice color and we don't want to draw out any extra water than necessary, okay? So that is very important, okay? When you're working with anything like mushrooms, onions, that if you want to get color, you don't add any salt till later, okay? So now that my butter is melted, okay, I'm going to put in 1 clove of garlic, but if you're a garlic lover like me, you put in 2, and all you're going to do is smash it with the heel of your knife. So you would just put it on your chopping board, get the heel of your knife and boom, crush down on it. And you only want this to release the natural oils. You don't want to have little bits of garlic in your sauce, okay? So I'm going to put in the garlic and I'm going to put in my mushrooms, okay? And I'm just looking to, cook them a bit and give them some color, okay? You don't want to stir them right away. The more you stir something, the more cold air you're bringing into your pan. And when you're bringing in cold air into your pan, you're preventing it from coloring and getting, that nice golden crispiness that you're looking for. And you're also dramatically lowering the temperature when you do that, okay? So, you want to turn it just before it's going to start to get too dark and burnt, okay? And you can usually go by the sound. So I can hear it getting angry in the pot right now. Now's a good time to turn it, okay? You're going to turn it, okay? And then I'm just going to let it go a little bit more. And then once I see, okay, that it's released some of the water and the heat from the pan has absorbed that water, then I'm going to add in a little bit of salt, okay, guys? And then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so it's doing really good right now, okay? It's released the water. I'm going to put a little bit of salt. I'm going to give it a nice good stir, okay? And now I'm going to lower it a bit, okay? Now that I've lowered it, okay, I'm going to add in, okay, my half a cup of unsalted butter as well. And again, we're using unsalted butter because we're going to be putting in a lot of parmigiano reggiano cheese, okay? And parmigiano reggiano cheese tends to be a little bit salty, okay? So we need to control our salt levels. We can always add salt, but you can't take away salt. Once the salt's in there, you're pretty much stuck with it, okay? So now I'm going to add in, okay, my butter. That's half a cup of butter. Okay. I'm going to just turn it around a little bit, stir it. Okay. And then I'm going to add in, okay, my cream here. Okay. And I'm using 2 cups, okay, of 35% cream, or you can use 18% cream. I suggest that you don't use skim milk or almond milk because it won't thicken. Creams thicken, okay? And the assistance of the Parmigiano Reggiano is also going to help to thicken it as well, okay? So if you're using a milk that is more water-based, like skim milk, it's going to be very difficult to thicken it. And then in turn, you will have to add an extra ingredient, being either cornstarch or flour, to achieve the thickness that you desire, okay? So all I'm going to do is stir this until I see the butter's melting, okay? And now I'm going to bring up my pot here. So guys, this is pretty much very easy, you know. Doesn't take that much. Just some patience and love. I always tell people when you cook to put in all your heart and soul and your love into it because you can taste it through the food. Alternatively, if you're having a very bad day, you're going to taste that in the food as well. And I know from experience, okay? So now that I've done that, okay, again, like I said, you want to do this on a medium heat, okay? Because you want to melt the butter and you don't want to scorch the cream, all right? If you've ever noticed when you cook cream or milk product on high heat, it scorches and makes a film at the bottom of your pot, right? And then when you're turning it, you're going to get those pieces of film into your cream and your food, and you don't want that. It's not very nice on the palate. You want to be smooth and creamy, and you also want to stir this, okay? So that way it doesn't clump, it doesn't lump, and doesn't form a skin at the bottom, okay, guys? Then if you have the sage, you would put in your sage as well. Fresh sage, do not use dry sage or powdered sage, okay? I always use fresh sage. I couldn't find any fresh in my local market, so I'm choosing to omit it because I don't want to ruin it with any other type of sage, okay? You want to enjoy this in its full capacity, okay? And you're going to add some fresh nutmeg. If you don't have fresh nutmeg, you can use ground nutmeg from the store. That's fine. I just find that fresh nutmeg always tastes better, okay? So with a grater and my ball of nutmeg, I'm just going to go into my pot. And you want about half a teaspoon, okay, guys? So you will get an email, okay, after this lesson with a full recipe, all right? It'll give you the amounts and the directions. So if you're wondering how much, you will find out. Don't worry. We're not going to leave you in the dark, okay? You'll be able to replicate this beauty at home and make it anytime you like. And the full amounts, all right? And the ingredients and everything you need will be there, okay? So I'm just going to put a little bit more. And by all means, if you want more than half a teaspoon of nutmeg, put more than half a teaspoon of nutmeg. I'm not the nutmeg police, okay? So if you like that extra taste of nutmeg, you can go ahead and add extra, all right? I always tell people it's to taste, okay? It's to your taste preference, all right? If you don't like nutmeg, you can totally leave out the nutmeg, all right? So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to stir it, okay? Now, okay, I'm going to keep going and stir and stir. So at this point now that my water is boiling, okay, I'm going to add in my pasta, okay? So one box, 454 grams equals 1 pound of dry pasta. I'm using linguine, okay? They run out of fettuccine at the store. It is what it is, right? So I'm using linguine, which is just slightly thinner than a fettuccine, okay? And I'm going to put a little bit less because, you know, in my house, there's only 3 of us, okay? So if you know there's only going to be 2 of you eating this, you can put half a box, okay? If you like leftovers, put in the whole entire box, okay? So I'm just going to put that in. And a tidbit, when you are cooking your pasta, do not break it and push it in the pan, okay? I'm putting it in whole like this, okay? As it's cooking, it's gonna, start to get flexible and it's gonna push itself in on its own. Don't go jamming it and trying to break it and shove it in, okay? You want to have nice long pieces of fettuccine in there, okay? So that's good enough for my household, okay? And then once you see that it's starting to, move itself into the pot, then you can begin to stir it, okay? And you want to stir it every so often to prevent it from sticking it, make sure that it's doing its pasta magic in there, okay? So now that I've got this like this, okay, it's starting to slightly simmer and boil. It's got a little bit of a foam on top. I'm turning it. I'm making sure that no skin is forming at the bottom, okay? At this point, you would add in your parmigiano reggiano cheese, okay? So before you put that in, I would suggest that you fish out your garlic and your sage leaves if you don't want to have that in your plate or serve it to people in their plates, okay? If you like having a huge piece of garlic and getting the sage leaf in your plate, totally leave it in there. Up to you, okay? We like garlic in my house, okay? My husband likes to gnaw on it on the table, so I'm gonna leave it in there. And if it comes in my plate, I'm just gonna hand it over to him and he's gonna have a garlic fest, okay? So that's all there is to that, okay? So before I put in my parmigiano reggiano, I'm going to turn the pasta because see, it's gone down, okay? So that means I can turn it now without worrying about it cracking or breaking in half, okay? And you're gonna cook this, the pasta, until it's al dente, okay? So al dente, it has like a slight little crunch to it, okay? And I'm gonna tell you to actually cook it just slightly before al dente, and this is why, okay? You're gonna end up tossing this into the sauce and cooking it for another minute or two in the sauce, okay? So if you cook your pasta past al dente or even just at al dente, it's gonna continue to cook in here and then it's gonna become overcooked. And also once you pull it away from the heat, the residual heat in the pot will continue to cook the pasta, okay? So unless you like your pasta past al dente, then fine, okay? But that's a sin for me, so I'm not gonna do that, okay guys? So like I said, okay, al dente, go buy your package. It usually tells you, my package says 10 to 11 minutes, but then again, sometimes, packages could be wrong, okay? Now I'm going to add in, okay, my parmigiano reggiano cheese. That's 1.5 cups, grated, okay? I buy a chunk myself and I grate it. That way I know I'm getting the real stuff and there's no fillers in here, okay? It's very important, okay, that, when you buy your cheese, you know that you're buying an authentic product, okay? There's a lot of fake Parmigiano Reggiano cheeses being sold out there. And you can usually tell because if the package says Parmesan, then it's not Parmigiano Reggiano, okay? By law, it can only say Parmigiano Reggiano if it's actually Parmigiano Reggiano, okay? And you'll know if you buy a block, it'll have the hard skin on the outside with little dents that looks like stamp writing. And on the package itself, it should have a yellow circle that says DOP, okay? That means it's verified, authentic Parmigiano Reggiano cheese from Italy, and it should say product of Italy. If it doesn't say product of Italy, it's counterfeit, it's not real, okay? The stuff that you buy in the containers that just says Parmesan is fake cheese with cellulose, and cellulose is wood filler, okay guys? So just so that you know what you're buying, all right? Now that I have my Parmigiano here, I'm going to continue to stir it, okay? And I just want to let this cook, okay, guys, for about 10 to 15 minutes, and get, thick and lively, okay, guys? So what you're looking for is, I'll get a spoon here, all right? You're looking for it to coat the back of your spoon just like this. I'll bring it closer to you, okay? Just like this, okay? And when you go like that, it should stay parted, okay? You don't want it any thicker than that. And I'll tell you why you don't want it any thicker than that, okay? If you make it too thick, all right, as it cools down while you're eating it, it's going to become tacky and pasty, okay? So I'm pretty sure you might have had a cream sauce before, and then you notice as it cools down, it starts to get really sticky and icky. That's because it's thick, okay? Cream, when it gets warmed, it gets thick, and as it cools down, it gets even thicker, all right? So you don't want it to become too thick right now on the onset. Otherwise, by the time you sit down and eat it, it's going to be very pasty and gluey. And you want it to be smooth and silky that, you know, when you get your fork and you twirl it, you can twirl it nicely in a ribbon without it sticking all together, okay? So again, I'm turning my pasta here, okay? And I'm keeping an eye on my sauce here, okay? At this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my spoon and I'm going to try to see how much salt there is now that I put in my cheese, okay? And if I want a little bit more salt, I will add just a little bit more salt, okay? So get a spoon and try it, okay? I'm going to add just a little bit more salt. And then you can try it again. Just make sure you get a clean spoon, okay? You don't want to put your germs in there, especially Corona, right, guys? We're in different times now, okay? Once you've gotten there, you're going to hold your sauce, okay? If your pasta is not yet cooked, okay, you're going to hold your sauce, meaning you're going to lower it to the lowest setting so it doesn't get any thicker, okay? And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in my parsley, okay? And just stir it in, okay? Now, guys, another tip, all right, is when you're cooking your pasta to always reserve pasta water, okay? Your pasta water is magic, okay? If your sauce is too thick, that pasta water will help to loosen it up a bit, okay? Also, it gives it that nice glossy texture and look and feel, okay? The reason why it's amazing is because all that starch from the pasta is in the water, okay? And it's making beautiful magic, and in turn, it's gonna make your pasta sauce even more magical and delicious. So you wanna reserve about 1 cup. Are you gonna put in all of the 1 cup? No, you would begin by adding in half when it's time, and then reserve the other half. And then if you see that's still too thick your sauce, or it's too pasty, then you can slowly add in some more until you reach the consistency that you desire, okay? So I'm gonna just keep turning this a little bit, okay? And I'm gonna add in some black pepper as well, okay? Freshly grated in my mortar and pestle. So I shouldn't say grated, pounded, okay, guys? Also, you know, if you can use fresh, it's always best to use fresh whenever possible. Okay, again, keep an eye on my pasta here. And I'm going to see if there's any questions in the meantime while I'm waiting for my pasta to cook, okay? Let me see. Okay, guys. Can you use a low-fat cheese instead of parmigiano reggiano? You can substitute with a low-fat cheese, okay? So if you want, you can even use a low-fat ricotta if you want. You can use a low-fat cream cheese. The only thing is the fat is what's going to give it that texture and lushness, okay? It's also going to help thicken the cream even more, all right? So I always tell people, I'm not going to be like, oh, no, you can't do this and you can't do that, okay? If it's health reasons, by all means, make the necessary adjustments you need to make. Otherwise, I'm going to tell people you only live once, okay? Just enjoy your dish. If it's not for health reasons, just enjoy your dish as is. Life's too short, and now more than ever, we deserve to eat a full fat dish, okay? Let's get it on, guys. All right, let me see what else I have here. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to go through them. All right. Okay, guys. All right. So I'm just going to shrink the chat for now. All right. So I'm going to try test my pasta now. Okay. It hasn't been 10 minutes yet. Okay. But like I said, sometimes the packaging could say 10 minutes. Okay. Depending on your brand, right? So if you're a seasoned pro like me, you can usually tell by looking at it and just going like this. Okay. No, I would say another 2 minutes. Okay. And then it might be to my satisfaction. All right, guys. So what I wanted to tell you, okay, was that fettuccine Alfredo, like I said, originally started with just being fettuccine al burro, okay? A lovely man named Alfredo had a pregnant wife. She was very sick. She couldn't keep her food down. The only thing that she could keep down was fettuccine with butter. So in order to make sure she was getting the extra fat and nutrients that she needed, he kept adding a lot of butter. A lovely couple from Hollywood decided to visit his restaurant in Rome one day, and they were served that dish with the added combination of parmigiano reggiano cheese. They liked it so much that when they went back to Hollywood, they served it to their friends. And eventually, the adaptation of adding cream came into play. Okay, guys? So that's why if you were to go to Italy and you ask for fettuccine Alfredo, they would think that you're talking about Alfredo the man and not Alfredo with cream, and you would end up getting fettuccine al burro, okay? Unless you go to an Americanized Italian restaurant that's catering to tourists, all right? So now I'm gonna try my linguine here. Just get like one strand if I can. I'm trying not to burn my hands, okay? And I'm gonna try it, okay? To see if it's at the right doneness, okay? Because like I said, it's gonna cook in the cream sauce, all right, guys? So let me try. Okay, just a little bit longer, one more minute, and then I'm gonna drain it. But before I drain it, I'm gonna reserve my pasta water, okay? So remember to keep turning your sauce, even though it's on low, so it's not forming a film at the bottom, okay? You wanna make sure that you have a nice, smooth, luxurious, luscious sauce, okay? Now I'm gonna get my measuring cup here and I'm gonna pull out some water, okay? If you have a pot with a pasta insert, then you just pull out the insert and toss the pasta into your pot and you already have the water saved. But if you're gonna be dumping it into a colander in the sink, then you're gonna have to do what I'm doing, okay? All right, so I got exactly 1 cup, okay? I'm gonna put it here to the side, okay? And now I'm going to turn off my pot here, okay? And I am going to go and drain it, okay? And I'll be right back with the linguine, guys. Or fettuccine, because it should be fettuccine. Like I said, you know, we're in times where you can't find everything you need at the store right now. So while I'm out of frame, okay, I'm going to make some noise here so you don't think I've abandoned you guys. Okay? All right. I'm turning, stir. All right. Now I'm going to pour it into my sauce, okay? And before I toss it, I'm going to add in, okay, half a cup of the water. And I'm going to bring this up now to a medium heat, okay? And I'm going to let this cook for another minute or two, okay? So that way the sauce is going to penetrate into the pasta and stick to it even more, okay? So you just want to turn it around and toss it, okay? And you're going to do this for a minute or two. And then you're going to have at the end a nice, creamy, luxurious fettuccine Alfredo with mushrooms. If you like chicken, you can add in pieces of grilled chicken or asparagus, all right? And then when it's ready, you're going to plate it and you can add some more parsley, some more parmigiano reggiano cheese. And you're going to enjoy this with a nice glass of white wine. Pairs well with this, okay? A nice Pinot Grigio. I'm going to recommend Italian if you're eating Italian. But whatever white wine you like, whether it be from Chile or it's from California, wherever in the world, whatever's your favorite white wine is what you're going to drink with this here, okay? And you're going to want to enjoy this, right? So always drink what you like best. Don't ever tell anybody, no, you can't drink that. All right, guys? Life's too short. Drink away. Okay? And that's it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to plate this for you guys. And then any questions you have, I'll take the questions. Anything at all. Like I said, the full ingredient list with the steps, okay, will be made available to you through email, okay? So don't worry, we got you covered. Girls Night Live has you covered, okay? They're not going to leave you hanging, okay? Now I'm going to grab my plate here, and I'm going to plate it, okay? I'm going to take the spoon out here. Okay, I'm going to bring this a little bit closer. Don't want to make a mess on my stove, okay? And you're just going to twirl it. You're going to add just a little bit more sauce on top, and then you're going to clean your plate, right, guys? So I'm going to get some more of the sauce. I'm just going to spoon it on top. So as you can see, right, the sauce, okay, and right now it looks like it's slightly loose, but within a few minutes, it's going to start to tighten and thicken up, okay? Just a little bit. You want it to be so that, you know, as I said, when you're twirling it on your fork, it's twirling nice and smooth, like a satin ribbon, right? You don't want it to stick and clump together, okay? And then you should also move your pot from the heat so that the pasta doesn't continue to cook because no one likes overcooked pasta. And then with a paper towel, you always want to make your plate presentable to people. You don't want to have any drips or anything. You're just going to wipe it. Okay. And there you go, guys. You have yourself, okay, a nice, yummy, creamy fettuccine Alfredo with mushrooms, okay? And now we're going to give it the little test, all right, where, I'm going to do the little swirl. And as you see, right, as I'm swirling it, it's not pasty. It's perfect, okay, guys? And there you go. Nice, yummy, luscious. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you try it. You let me know how you like it, how it goes, right? And I'm going to pour myself a glass of wine here. I got my, like I said, my Pinot Grigio is perfect with it. I'm going to enjoy the pasta and have it with my wine because Monday, right? We all know that Mondays can be a little bit difficult after a weekend, especially in winter. I'm going to go to the question section. If anybody has any questions, please feel free. Okay. Thank you. Let me go up. Okay, so do all cheeses thicken as they cool? Yes, all cheeses and sauces will thicken, okay? So, if you're using pecorino, if you're using parmigiano, if you want to go a little bit off the scale and add a little bit of a Spanish twist to it and use manchego cheese, it's going to thicken, okay? So what happens is fat, just like butter, right? When you melt it, right, it's liquefied, right? But then once it starts to cool down again, it coagulates, okay? So it's gonna firm up again, and that means it's gonna thicken, okay, guys? So that's why it's also very important to use a high quality cheese, okay? You don't want to use something like, those big blocks of cheese that you can buy. Those are very processed and hence have a lot of oil in it. So if you were to use a cheese like that, the oil would actually pool up on top, okay? And it won't really the pasta will solidify in the sauce and then you'll end up with pools of oil on top, okay? So it's very important that when you make a cream sauce or anything that's cheese based that you use a good quality cheese, okay? It makes a big difference in the impact and overall turnout of your dish, okay? And even health wise, okay, guys? Let me see if there's anything else to see. Awesome. Okay. I wish you could cook. I wish I could cook for everybody too every day. I love to cook, guys. It's my passion. I cook all day long. All right, guys. So, any out? One new message. Okay, guys. Hold on. Oh, am I going down? Sorry, guys. I'm trying to multitask here. Do you use fresh pasta? Yes, you can use fresh pasta, okay? Normally, I like to use fresh pasta. The only reason why I didn't for this segment is because fresh pasta cooks very fast, like this, okay? So fresh pasta, once you drop it in and it starts to collect up to the top, it's done, it's cooked. The most ever 5 minutes, depending on the type of fresh pasta you're using and how thick it is, okay? So if you're gonna use fresh fettuccine, within 2-3 minutes, it's cooked, okay? So then this segment would have ended a long time ago, all right, guys? So if you want to use fresh pasta, fresh fettuccine or linguine, you totally can. And you can taste the difference, okay? In the sense it's more fresh because it's fresh. Pretty sure if you've had fresh pasta and boxed pasta before, you know the difference and you can taste the difference. But you can totally make this with fresh pasta. If you're going to make it with the fresh pasta, I would suggest to make your sauce first and then hold it, meaning, put it on very low, okay, so that it stops thickening and cooking, and then cook your pasta, okay? And then once your pasta is cooked, drain it and toss it in, okay? Because you have to time it, okay? Timing is very important when you're working with pasta and sauces. You don't want your pasta to overcook. You don't want to undercook it, but you also need to make sure that, when it's a cream sauce you're using, that you're not over thickening it too much, okay? So you can totally do this with fresh pasta, no problem at all. Okay. And let me see. All right, guys. Yes, you can come over for leftovers. I will have leftovers. If you're in Toronto and you want leftovers, guys, please come over anytime. Do you use pasta that's made with breast ice so it's a bit rough to hold the sauce? Yes. So, okay, guys, I'm going to show you the package, okay? If you're using a boxed pasta, okay, you should get it that says made, okay, with the brass dies. So Barilla is good. They use brass cutters, okay? If you're buying a no-name brand pasta, okay, or a pasta that's not from an Italian company and it's made in America, most chances are they're not using bronze die cutters, okay? If you're using a fresh pasta, all right, obviously it's not a bronze die cutter, okay? So again, if you like fresh pasta, use fresh pasta. You want boxed pasta to have that roughness, then use boxed pasta, okay? Another note for you guys, Barilla is an Italian brand, okay, but they have factories throughout North America, so it is not a product of Italy, okay? They do get their ingredients from Italy and import them, but it's not made, this here is not made in Italy, okay? It's made here locally in North America, right? So that's to answer that for anyone who doesn't know about pasta, okay? Yes, Di Cecco is a very good brand. I like Di Cecco, okay? Not a problem. Okay, I'm also going to tell people that, like, it's whatever is accessible to you and what you can afford, okay? The whole point of Italian cooking is there's a term called cucina povera, which means poor cooking, okay? About 99% of Italian cooking is cucina povera, and it was done by means of survival and using what they had in order to feed themselves nutritious meals to survive, okay? So a lot of Italian cooking is clean, simple ingredients. It's not overtly fussy. It's not like, oh, it must be this, okay? So that's why you'll find recipes that are very varied. For instance, a meatball. There's millions of recipes for an Italian meatball because people use what they have on hand. They have to adapt, okay? So you're always going to end up altering a recipe to use what you have. Just like for this recipe, right? I didn't have sage leaves, so I didn't add them, okay? I couldn't find fettuccine at my local store because they ran out. There's a shortage, so I used linguine, okay? So you have to think on the spot and make do with what you have. And like I said, that's a staple of Italian cooking and cucina povera. Recipes are always evolving to suit with the items that you have in your kitchen, okay? No one's going to come and knock on your door. All right, and is there anything else? Okay, so does anyone have anything else to ask? Any questions? The chat keeps moving up so fast. I feel like I'm behind. Can mushrooms be substituted if cremini aren't available? Yes, as I said earlier, you can use whatever you have available. So it could be porcini, it could be portobello, it could be oyster mushrooms. If you're using a bigger mushroom, okay, you're going to have to obviously, instead of slicing it very thinly, you might have to, quarter it and then slice it thinly, okay? Because you don't want to, it might be hard to, roll up a whole entire big slice of portobello mushroom on your fork, okay? So you're gonna have to cut it down to size so that you can fork it with your fettuccine on your fork, okay, guys? I don't know if I said the term right, fork it, whatever, it is what it is. Not enough coffee today, guys, not enough coffee in the world, okay? Do all cheese sauce thicken as they cool? Yeah, I went through that. All right. I know I'm probably missing some, guys. I'm sorry, I'm trying my best. So the video, okay, guys, eventually does get, if you missed it, I know a lot of people saying that they missed it, okay? They do, as far as I recall, will post it to their YouTube. They have a YouTube channel. So you can always log on to the Girls Night Live YouTube channel, and this video will be there, and any other of their past workshops, okay, guys? So I suggest that you subscribe to their YouTube channel, and you'll find this video there once it's up, okay? And then you'll have the live demonstration still for you at your pursuit, okay? All right, so is there any questions from the Facebook Live? Because I know this is streaming on Facebook Live as well, okay? And I'm trying to get to everybody here, but this chat thing keeps moving up. I answer a question, I go back, and it's like totally back up again. And I'm like totally missing some, so I'm so sorry, you guys. Do you purchase fresh pasta from? Okay, so I make 99% of the times I make my pasta fresh from scratch. That's my specialty. is I make pastas. I also sell them. Okay, guys. So I always tell people that homemade is better, but I know that not everybody has that skill or the time. So you can buy fresh pasta. Where can you get fresh pasta? It all depends where you live. I live in downtown Toronto. Okay, I can go to my local butcher shop. They have fresh Italian pasta. I can go to a local market. They have fresh Italian pasta. We have in Italy here down the street from me. I can go there and buy fresh pasta. Okay, so if you have, usually, I'm gonna tell you if you have a nearby Italian neighborhood, Italian market, about 99.9% you'll be able to find fresh pasta there. If you can't and you really want to make it, you can make fresh pasta on your own. If you want some assistance, you can always DM me on my Italian Wife Chef page on Instagram, and I'll be more than happy to send you a recipe on how to make it from scratch. I also happen to be teaching a pasta lesson this coming Saturday, so if you want to learn how to make it hands-on, demonstrative with me, you can sign up and register. Okay, that's also an option if you like. Okay, guys. And again, scrolling up. Okay, guys. So if no one else has any other questions, you know, then I will let you guys go for the day. I just want to say thank you for joining me, for being a part of this. And if you were cooking along with me, bon appetito. If not, and you try this at a later time, I hope you enjoy it and you let me know how it goes for you. So, like I always say to everybody, from my kitchen and soul to yours, con tanto, tanto amore. Okay, guys?